Okay, I just wanted to share an example of how you could get clip art or any kind of graphics, or even from a book that you're reading, and then have your child build some of the words. Please don't show your child the word in print. If you finish this page, he sees it in print, then you say, hey, let's see if you can spell the word hops. Then that's fine, but don't let them stare at the word sun and then build the word sun. I am shocked at the amount of published curriculums that have spelling activities where the kid is reading the word and then tasked with spelling it, and the word is still right in front of them. It's mind-boggling to me. So remember, spelling is more cognitive heavy. The processes are more difficult than reading. So if we're getting young kids to get confident in encoding or spelling, then it transfers over and we see the effects of it in their reading, and they can decode better. And so, for example, he's supposed to write whatever the picture shows, sing, s, I, I. And you'll notice that when we say sing, we're not saying I. So this might be tricky for your child, and they might at first pick an E. So sing. And this one usually is what keeps us saying that E sound and not actually saying a pure I. Sing. So that's another time where you say, you know what, a lot of times we say this represents I and I, but we see right here that we used it to spell the sound E. Sing. And then you could swap it out and try, all right, let's see if you can do this one. And then they quickly switch out that. And that way they're right there. They've already, with sing, they've seen that ing, ing, sounds more like a long E sound. But now it's reinforced because they have another word that uses that same sound, ing, ing. All right, I'm going to show you just quickly, because we could do this all day, but pulling over, putting some back, and then trying west. Look around for that. You'll notice in this kind of setup there's lots of S's. We have the double S for the end of words like dress or mess, but we also have another S you could use in words that have two S's, or even to make something plural, or talking about he ran, he runs, and use that S that represents the Z sound. I will show you, there's lots of things that you'll want to use them, but if they have the word there, then maybe you grab it and cover it and say, this looks like a plan or a list. And you could use either one. It doesn't have to be plan. You could change this and say, okay, let's build list. And so this review activity, we're moving more than one sound at a time. And that's completely fine when you're reviewing. When your child already knows all these, it's not new. They know the symbols, but they might come upon ones like we saw with ing, where it's a little surprising to them that we use it for that E sound. So you just want to cover it up. There's another one I found here, shop. And that could just remind mom or dad, okay, this is a shop. You can see there's things for sale, but you'd cover that up so they're not just staring at it and then mapping it. And again, in our schools, there are published curriculums that have worksheets every single day where kids are just asked to map the sounds like this, but the words are right in front of them. So they read a word and then they're just copying it, where we know the part, that special sauce is getting the brain to connect. So the sound processor and the symbol processor connecting to make meaning. Or here, looking for the meaning here, I think they mean path. And then thinking of the sound, the symbol that we need for P and segmenting those sounds instead of just reading it and then copying it. That is just counterintuitive if we're trying to tap into this powerful spelling situation. Then we would want to make their brain do that work. And sometimes your kids will forget that there's digraphs here and they'll build it out like this. But you could just remind them each box represents a holder for sounds. So, and that brings me to a perfect example here. Duck, here we would use this one instead of building it out. But I want to show you a few that, again, published curriculums will sometimes put the Q and the U together. And in our intermediate kits, we do put the Q and the U on one tile. But that actually represents two sounds. Because when we have Q and U here, it is for K, W. So this is representing the K sound, and this represents the W sound. Quack, quack. But to save some space, once our kids understand that that represents two sounds, they could put a tile with a Q and U on it and be just fine. I wanted to show, I don't think I have one with the X, but let me show you. The X can represent the sound X, which the sounds, two sounds, X, K, S, in mix, or fox. And so you can show your child, oh, do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's cool. That's just one symbol that represents two sounds in that word. I, K, S. 4 sounds in mix, and we just need 3 letters. That's pretty cool. But as they get a little older, you could show them like, ooh, let's try to spell the word exactly. Egg. G, that's a G sound, but I'm going to show you that X can be used for eggs. Do you hear that? G, Z, eggs. So it's 2 sounds there that are different from the one we had in mix. We had K, S. This one is G, Z, eggs, ack, exactly. And there we go, exactly. And so that is 2 sounds right there. And why it's so important, especially for our kids that would struggle because of a phonological deficit in hearing the separate sounds in words. So it's vital for them that we point that out. Do you hear it? Do you hear the 2 sounds? We're going to represent those 2 sounds in exactly with just one symbol there. Hopefully that was helpful for you, but you could cut out your own cards. You could even write what it is on the back. So if you're cooking dinner or something, they could spell the word duck, then flip it over and see that it's duck, or spell the word quack and they'll flip it over and see that there's duck written on it and quack written on it, just so they can check to see if they were correct.